Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of That's Wild with Tegan. And this week, I thought I'd tell you what has been wild in my week, and particularly in the world of medicine or medical field within people with disabilities and the world of medical field or doctors or surgeries and all that jazz. And tell you a few wild stories that I've had over the years, because I've had a lot. I think it's best to start by saying that I was born into kind of a trial. I was born into a trial, but not on purpose. So when I was born, I had lack of oxygen to the brain, which led to me having TP. But in order to stop my brain from swelling, they had a brain cooling system, which had only just arrived in Bristol, like, that day or the day before. And it wasn't even meant to be tried on anyone yet. It was actually my mum's surgeon's wife who made the brain cooling. And he called his wife and said, "We have a child that might be of use for your brain cooling. Can you bring it from this hospital to our hospital? And let's give it a go on her." And that basically gave me more chance to surviving and more chance of being more able in general. So I did the brain cooling, and with the brain cooling, because I was the first girl in the UK, I think, to get it, it meant that I was kind of a trial case and a bit of a guinea pig. So my whole life I've been seeing lots of medical professionals and getting updates and stuff and trying different things for my cerebral palsy or my dystonia. But a lot of these things have led me with very interesting stories that I thought I would tell you guys. To be honest, a lot of the stories came when I was of age and when I started going to see these appointments by myself. I think when you're young and you're still going with your parents, your parents deal with all the medical stuff rather than you. But when I noticed that as soon as I started going by myself, it's when all of this weird shit was happening. So let's go back to the first one that I can recall, which I think I was 16. I was 15 or 16. I was in school. No, okay, so I went to the doctors to do with getting my medication for my cerebral palsy, what I was on at the time. I don't know what medication it was, but I was just going to get a repeat prescription, because it's a certain level of drug I have to go in to get it prescribed, or like the doctor has to approve it, so I have to go in. And I'm pretty sure I went in and I sat down, and they never look at your medical notes or your records. So the first thing that they asked me is, "What disability do you have?" And I say cerebral palsy. And then the person's like, "Oh, okay, yeah. And then I proceeded to watch this lady Google cerebral palsy, and she asked me, like, what type of cerebral palsy do you have?" And I say, "Quadriplegic." And then I watch her Google quadriplegic cerebral palsy, and at this point I'm already like laughing to myself, because to me, cerebral palsy is one of the most common disabilities, like, in the UK and in the world. It's very common. It's very unknown for someone not to know what cerebral palsy is, and it's very unknown for a medical professional not to have known what that is. So it would make me laugh anyway that she was Googling it. And then after she Googled what is cerebral palsy, she Googled what is cerebral palsy treatments. Because she did really read out all the treatments that I could possibly get, and suggested that I spoke to a specialist about them. And she read them all out. Most of them I've already done, and I was like, if you actually read my notes, you would know this. But Yeah, she googled my disability and then googled treatment options, and that was a moment in my life where I thought I really didn't understand the point of GPs, because if that's what I have to wait 3 weeks for an appointment to get, is you googling what disability I have and suggesting treatment options, then what's the point of me even coming to see you? I don't understand. And especially when I know what I'm there for. I'm there to get my prescription. I'm there to get what I need to be able to live a better lifestyle. And they're googling what I already know. Like, I haven't been disabled for my whole life. Like, of course I know what I have and what it's like living with it and what the options might be. And they sit there googling treatment options. I remember coming home and telling my mum, and I was like, I'm done with these stupid doctors. I'm not going again. I can't stand them. They just do stupid shit. And I was so mad, because a lot of these things, like a lot of the things that I go to the doctor for, are very common things. Like, I don't normally go to a GP with anything relating to my disability. It's usually, I don't know, like something anyone could get. So I don't understand why they make it more difficult to get a prescription or to get medical advice when you have a disability, because they either let their intrusive thoughts win, or they end up googling your disability and making you sit for half an hour listing all of the things that you could try that I've already tried. And if they have read my medical notes, they will know this. So that was the second time that I was absolutely enraged by a GP. Not to get... Okay, I also need to clarify that the medical professionals that I see that are specialists are actually really good. And it's taken me a while to find medical professionals that actually are willing to go more in depth with me and talk me through, like, the long life options of, like, a lot of people like to treat you here and now, but my new specialist like to think about the future and what that might look like, and if I were to have children, whether I'd be able to carry my own children or whether I'd get a surrogate, and like, she's much more thinking about the whole picture for me, which I absolutely love, because one thing that I know, that my disability is not ever going to get better. It can get worse, but my future is like unknown. Like, I don't know how I'm going to end up. So it's useful to know all of these things. But what I don't like is when doctors try to tell me everything after not reading my notes and knowing what I've already done or what I've already heard or been told. So that's my frustration, okay? I don't mind the specialist that I see, because they are very good at their jobs. But I do have one specialist that I'm pretty sure could have ended up badly. And this was only, I think this might have been this year or late last year, but I went to see my routine neurologist. And when you switch to adult services, you just see your neurologist every month, not every month, every year. And they do like an update on your health every year. And then if you need to see someone in between, then that gets booked in. But this was like my annual appointment, just to check how I am and check my progress or decline or whatever. So I had this appointment with my neurologist, and it said on the letter that you get that you might end up on the day getting someone else, but because it's like your annual check, it doesn't really matter. They're just gonna ask you how you are and if there's anything that you need, basically. So I was like, that's fine. So on the day, first of all, I was waiting there for like an hour and a half after my time, because they were running very late, and that would already annoy me a lot. And then this lady comes out and she says, like, Tegan, Vincent-Cooke, and so I get up and I walk and I go to the office that she's in, and I thought that she was like did that keep going off? Hopefully my car battery doesn't die. I thought that she was like like an assistant or like someone that's sitting in with the doctors to learn. But no, she was, well, I don't know who she was, but she sat me in this room and she sat down herself. She didn't introduce herself. She didn't say, hi, I'm whatever her name is, and we're gonna do this. There was no introduction. She just sat down and she said, so can you tell me your medical history? And I said, from when I joined adult services, and she said, no, from birth. And I said, okay. So then I started listing off all the medical jargon from birth and all the big long names that come with it and whatever. And she's asking me all these questions about my muscles and my tone and like what medications I've taken, what medications I haven't taken, which is pretty common anyway, so I did all that. And then she stood up and got like the reflex thing, the like reflex hammer that they bang your knees with to see whether you've got a reflex. And I'm pretty sure she didn't even like say, is it okay, can I check your reflexes? She just started banging my legs. And first of all, I'm sat there thinking, because I got high tone, I don't have reflexes. My legs, well, I do, but like not in the same way that everyone else does. So checking my reflexes isn't going to be the same. It's very hard to get a reflex out of me because my body's so tight and stiff. My body doesn't react to reflexes in that way. So when she banged my leg, I'm thinking, should I be purposely reflexing for her to like notice? But anyway, she banged my legs. There's no reflexes. She then banged my elbow, which I then thought that's a bit strange. And then she banged my shoulder, and I thought, is there a reflex to be had in the shoulder? And then by this point, she stood. So I'm sat in a chair, and where she'd been doing my legs, she stood in between my legs. And then as she's doing my shoulder, she leant over me. So I'm literally backed into a chair, backed into a corner basically. And she's banging my shoulders and banging my elbows, but her face is like next to mine, like she was so close to me. And to the point that like I could hear her talking to herself and breathing in my ear because her face was literally next to mine. And then at some point my brain just started to click and I'm thinking, this is weird, this shouldn't be a thing. And that is when she started doing the reflex on the back of my neck. She banged the hammer on the back of my neck, and in that moment I thought, yeah, this doesn't seem like you know what you're doing or that this is right. So then I said to her, I'm pretty sure I didn't have a reflex there. And then she sat down again. And then she was silent for a while. And I said that all I really need from this appointment is to get my medication prescribed again. But is there anything else that I'm meant to happen in this appointment? Because I don't understand why. I couldn't understand why she was checking my reflexes when that's something that I've never done in these appointments. And she didn't answer me. She didn't answer any of my questions. She just turned to the computer and typed in my prescription and then asked me what it was that I wanted. and I told her what I wanted, and she typed that in, and she gave me the prescription, and I said, okay, you can leave now, and that was it. And then at that point, because I'm thinking, this feels like a bit psychotic now, I'm thinking this person could not even be a doctor, and she could just be impersonating a doctor. And that's when I stood up and I just left, because I thought, this just feels really weird. And I remember leaving, and I had the prescription in my hand, and I'm reading it, and it looked fine, but I was like, I'm not sure whether that is even the right medication. And I'm walking out the hospital, and I called my dad, and I explained to him what happened, and he made me stop in my tracks, because he was like, Tegan, that sounds like a psychopath that has escaped the mental ward and impersonated the doctor and just is getting away with doing it. And I literally stopped, but I was in the middle of the hospital hallway, and I stopped walking, and I was like, you know what, you're right, like that sounds, that you're so right, this doesn't seem right. And then after I got off the phone with him, I went to the car, and I was just thinking about the whole experience and the whole interaction. And I remember I kept trying to look at her name badge to see what her name was, because she didn't introduce herself to me, and I didn't know who she was. And I remember when I sat there, I kept trying to look at her name badge, but it was like purposely covered in a way that I could see her face, but I couldn't see any writing on the badge, so I couldn't figure out what her name was. And then when I got home and I saw my mum, I explained the whole situation again, and she was like, "Yeah, that sounds like someone psychopathic. That like you know the stories of like nurses that go in and like swap babies or like kill babies or stuff. That was the vibe that we were all getting, that she was just some random psychopath that had got into this hospital and somehow tricked the system and got me into an appointment." But anyway, my mum told me that I should call the hospital and put in a complaint and explain what happened. So I did that, and it gets worse. It gets so much worse. Actually, before I called the hospital, on the way home, I went to put in my prescription, and the pharmacist had me wait like half an hour, and then she was like, your prescription just isn't correct. Like, the way that it's written, this can't have been written by a doctor, because it's not written correctly. And she was like, who wrote it? And I was like, I can't tell you her name. And she managed to go into the system and figure out what her name was, and then she gave me her name. And then the pharmacist told me to call the hospital to not only get a new prescription, but to tell them that the person writing this prescription, there's something wrong with her. And again, at that point, I'm thinking, you're reiterating what we're all thinking. This doctor is not a doctor. Like, something's gone wrong here. So I didn't get my medication, and the pharmacist was like, yeah, definitely do something about that. So I called the hospital the next morning, and I called like the helpline or something, and there's a line where you can report a complaint. So I went to that line, and I called in, and I explained to the guy what happened, and I told the guy on the line the doctor's name that they gave me of the prescription, and the guy on the phone literally stopped typing and said, we have no one on our record base under that name. And I said, excuse me? And he said, we have no doctors on our service under that name. And I said, can you please check again? Because that is the name of the doctor that I saw yesterday. I need to end this before my... Oh wait, okay. I need to end this podcast before my battery goes. But he called, he said on the phone that they didn't have doctor under that name at their services. And I said, well, that is who I saw yesterday. And he said, well, that's quite worrying. And I was like, yeah. And he said, how would you like to proceed? And I said, well, what can we do to proceed? Like, I firstly would like to see my actual doctor, my actual neurologist, but I feel like you also need to talk that situation out. And he was like, yeah, I agree. That shouldn't have happened. And I said, well, can you check that, like, she's not on any other service records? Because he said that they have freelance doctors come in to help certain areas for a day and then they'll go again. So I was like, can you just check that, like, she's not on any record base? So he was like, yeah, I'll do that and get back to you. But that was, I'm pretty sure, like, maybe 9 months ago, or maybe it might have even been a year ago now. I've still not got any clarification as to whether she was a real doctor or not. So that's worrying. But my head is telling me that she was not a doctor because she really didn't know what she was doing, and I just think the whole experience was just so fucked up to be like she just couldn't have been a doctor or not, or at least not a doctor in that speciality because she had no clue what she was doing. So yeah, that's another crazy doctor story that had happened to me. My final doctor story is that last year, after this whole situation and after I told my actual neurologist, he put in a referral to a dystonia specialist. And dystonia is a part of it's a separate disability to cerebral palsy, but dystonia is to do with muscle tone and spasms, which is what I also have. So I went to see the dystonia specialist last week, and I just thought it would be kind of more talking about different drug trials and ways of being healthy that I could be that help my dystonia, or different therapies or physio treatments. But no, they suggested brain surgery, and then they also suggested spinal surgery. The spinal surgery was like a little pump that they put into your blood. No, they put into your spinal cord or spinal fluid cord, which pumped the medicine that I'm already taking, but into my spine, so that it's more immediate and more, like, efficient. And I just don't understand how those are the only options. Like, brain surgery or spinal surgery. In the appointment, I'm thinking I'm not doing either of those things. First of all, if I do either, because she also said there's no guarantee that I'll be any better. So you're saying that there's more guarantee of me being worse having a brain surgery or spine surgery that could easily go wrong at any time than be better and have a better lifestyle and live better. So she really didn't market it to me very well. But I was just sat there thinking, I just can't believe that these are the two options that are being suggested. It's just crazy. And like, I know that I'm quite disabled now, but I'm happy in the way that I am now. I wouldn't want to risk being worse, having tried a brain surgery or a spinal surgery just to see whether I would end up better. But also, they all know that I'm an athlete. I have goals that I want to achieve. I don't have time for an optional brain or spinal surgery. Like, I don't understand how it is a choice and how it's recommended as a choice. Like, I just don't see how anyone's going to choose brain surgery or spine surgery that isn't needed. It just might work. So, these are my new options, which I'm gonna decline, obviously, but I am interested just to learn more about how it all works. But I'm definitely not getting brain or spinal surgery. And I'm very happy with the way that I am at the moment, and I don't need brain or spinal surgery to try and make it 1% better. So we'll see what they come up with next, but yeah, those have been some of the wild stories that I've had in the medical field, and I'm pretty sure I have more. I'm pretty sure I could do about 10 episodes like this one, but I'll leave it at that for now because I've been yapping for a long time. But again, if you like this episode, don't forget to like and subscribe, and leave a comment on whatever platform you're listening to me on. And I'm now going to go to the shops, and hopefully my car will start because I've been sat with the light on for the last half an hour. So hopefully I still have battery in my car. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye!